Once upon a time.
Take a while to warm up.
It's on now.
Councilor Boga, can you hear us?
Different lever.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry, I was looking for the unmute.
Okay, thank you.
Terrific. When would you like to do this?
Early,
Okay.
so maybe right after we do all the beginning stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah, let's be absolutely. So the hour being 7:01 PM on Monday, April 28th, 2025, I'd like to call to order City of Laconia City Council meeting. Before we go any further, we good to go there, team? We're good? Okay. Before we go any further, I'd ask you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're joined this evening by Katie Gargano, our recording secretary and city clerk. And when you're ready, if you could call the roll, that'd be great.
Counselor Cheney,
Here.
Counselor Susie,
Here.
Counselor Hoffman,
Present.
Counselor Haynes,
Here.
Counselor Bogart,
Here.
Counselor Felch,
Here.
Mayor Hosmer.
Present. Thank you. We're also joined this evening by
Council Bogart just needs to update that he can't be here.
Counselor Bogart. Would you give the reason that you can't be with us in person and who's with you in the room that you're in right now?
I'm in a room by myself and I'm away on business.
All right, we're joined this evening by, we'll get a little feedback there
Yeah, we
on
just
the
got-
audio.
It's coming out of the laptop.
We are. The button says there's no audio here, but we're getting some.
Okay, I can roll along with it for a little bit. We're joined this evening by Laconia City Manager Kirk Biotti, Glenn Smith, our Finance Director as well, also our IT Specialist, I think.
Use that term loosely.
First thing I'd like to do is,
Better? I muted this.
is Savannah Brunel here?
I did lose all
Come-
the audio on the meeting.
Come on up, Savannah.
Maybe that throws it off when you
And
do that.
maybe this, come all the way up here.
Oh, okay.
Come all the way. Yeah, that'd be great. So.
Hi, I'm
It's
Savannah.
nice to meet you. So I'd like to draw everyone's attention to our Laconia Pumpkin Festival new marketing poster and banner that we're going to be rolling out this year. Since it's great news, the city took over Laconia Pumpkin Festival. And I wanted to point out, and also on behalf of the city and the city council, say thank you to you, Savannah. This is an original design that you put together just for this event. And then this is now going to be sort of the faceplate of our great event. So the idea that you would just sort of do this on your own initiative, not only extraordinary talent, but very kind of you to go above and beyond in your job, because I know you're in the planning department. So this is maybe outside your regular duties assigned. But I just wanted to say on behalf of all of us, thank you. This is greatly appreciated, and from everything I hear at City Hall, you've been a tremendous addition to the staff here. So, once again, outstanding work. Back to our regular scheduled programming right now. Agenda item number 7, which is the 7A, City Council regular meeting minutes of April 28th, 2025. Minutes of Laconia City Council meeting were on, of April 28th, 2025 were distributed to the members of the City Council on April 20th. That can't be right. So, minutes of the Laconia City Council meeting of April 22nd,
No, April 14th.
April 14th were distributed to the members of the city council on April 22nd, 2025. Is that correct? Yes. With no corrections, except that, or changes submitted to the clerk, the minutes will be accepted as distributed. Moving on to agenda item number 8, which is consent and action items. Temporary traffic order 2025-08. Laconia Multicultural Festival, request to waive fees associated with the event. Said traffic order is attached to this year's multicultural festival. This is a recurring event, and there are no significant changes to the temporary traffic order other than the dates from last year's festival. The organizers of the event are also requesting that all city fees associated with the event be waived. The fees consist of $150 special event fee and a $10 licensing fee. The Special Events Review Committee approved the application for this year's Multicultural Festival event at their March 5th, 2025 meeting. Right now, I'd be looking for a motion to move to approve the temporary traffic order 2025-08 is presented for the Laconia Multicultural Festival and waive all city fees associated with the event. So made by Councilor Haynes, seconded by Councilor Felch. Is there any further discussion? I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogert?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes.
Mr. Mayor, if you're interested, we do have the new coordinator for Multicultural Festival here in the attendance with
terrific.
us as well.
That would be wonderful. Please come on up. Would you join us? Introduce yourself. Hello. Maybe
Hi.
put the microphone down to the appropriate height. Looks like it might be a little high there, but welcome.
Okay, hi there. My name's Sue Young. I'm fairly new to this, but I also run the Concord Christmas Parade and Miss Lakes Region Scholarship Program, so I have a lot of experience in events.
2 legendary events here in New
Yes.
Hampshire. Terrific. Well, I'm really pleased that you've taken this over. Have you attended before?
The festival, yes.
That's wonderful. So you know it's a big day here in the city. It's a particular point of pride for many of us. That
I
goes
love
back
it.
a
Yeah,
number
I
of
can't
years.
wait.
So we are thrilled to have you on board and really glad you're going to take the point on that.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Please let us know if you need anything additional from the city council, and of course, the city manager is always available.
Thank you again.
Okay, bye-bye. Moving on to agenda item number 8B, Laconia Kiwanis Bike and Board Safety Day, request to waive Parks and Recreation facility fee. Laconia Kiwanis Club will be holding their annual Bike and Board Safety Day at the Laconia Skate Park parking lot on Saturday, May 17th. The event received Parks and Recreation Commission approval at their meeting on March 17, 2025, at which time a $150 fee was assessed. The Kiwanis Club is requesting that the council consider waiving this fee. Parks and Recreation fees have not been historically waived by the council due to the significant strain put on both the Parks and Recreation employees and wear and tear on the facilities themselves. However, the City Council approved a similar waiver request for last year's event. The council wishes to approve this request to waive this fee. A motion is provided below. And if you were to consider such motion, it would read like this. Looking for a motion to move to waive the $150 Parks and Recreation facility fee in relation to the 2025 Laconia Kiwanis Bike and Board Safety Day to be held Saturday, March 17, 2025, Laconia Skate Parking Lot. Is there anyone like to waive that?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Cheney. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Second by Councilor Haynes. Is there any further discussion?
Is there any fees associated with this event?
No.
All right.
I think so.
I can call the roll from here if you want.
Terrific. Ask the
Counselor
clerk to
Cheney?
call the roll.
Here.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogert?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Right now, we're moving on to agenda item number 9. Number 9 is citizens' comments for matters not on the agenda. If there's something that's not on tonight's agenda and you would like to speak to it, now would be the appropriate time. Just step forward. It's a relatively kindly bunch up here. Seeing no takers, we're going to move right along to agenda item 13. Public hearing and ordinance 2025-235-15, amending Chapter 235. An ordinance amending Chapter 235, zoning, Article 3, districts, zoning map 235-15, official zoning map, and attachment 1, table of zoning map amendments. Notice of this public hearing is made available in the April 17th, 2025 edition of the Laconia Daily Sun. posted at Laconia City Hall, Laconia Community Center, Laconia Public Library, offices of the SAU. Action on this item may be taken up under unfinished business later on this evening. I'd like to open the public hearing at 7:11 p.m. If anyone is here, would like to speak to this, now would be the appropriate time.
It's a popular topic, we're all getting into.
I'll take it that no one would like to speak to this matter, even though there are people standing at the microphone?
We're really not blocking it. It's just.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. So, okay, I'd like to close the public hearing on this matter at 7:12 p.m. Again, we may take this item up under unfinished business a little later on. Agenda item 13B, public hearing, resolution 2025-11, requests to release of parking kiosk reserve funds to purchase additional upgrade kits. Notice of this public hearing was made available in the April 17th, 2025 edition of Laconia Daily Sun. Posted at Laconia City Hall, Laconia Community Center, Laconia Public Library, and the offices of the SAU. I'd like to open the public hearing on this matter at 7:12 p.m. If this is something that you would like to speak to, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing as no one has stepped forth to the microphone, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:12 p.m. Again, we may take this matter up under unfinished business a little later on this evening. Moving on to agenda item number 13C, public hearing on resolution 2025-14, acceptance of a donation and installation of a flagpole from the Bank of New Hampshire. Notice of this public hearing is made available in the April 17th, 2025 edition of Laconia Daily Sun, posted at Laconia City Hall, Laconia Community Center, Laconia Public Library, and the offices of the SAU. I'd like to open this public hearing at 7:13 p.m. If anyone would like to speak to this, now would be the appropriate time. Terrific. Seeing no one has stepped forward, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:13 p.m. Again, we may take this matter up a little later on this evening under unfinished business. Under agenda item number 14, 14A, it's a Laconia Historical and Museum Society presentation. Welcome. It's good to have you here, Tara.
How's it going?
It's all right. It's all right. But the night is young.
True, and you have a lot ahead of you. So I'm running at about 6 minutes with sharing this information, so I apologize. I just couldn't narrow it down much more.
You're on.
Got a lot to say. So thank you again for having us here, Laconia Historical Museum Society, sharing what we've been up to for the last year and the care of Laconia's archives. We own the building at 65 Water Street. It serves as the main storage facility for the Historical Society. Warren Hughes has his office there, and we conduct most of our business there. It was constructed by the Laconia Car Company in 1894, played a role in one of Laconia's thriving industries. The car shops produced passenger, freight, and trolley cars from 1848 to 1931. And so for 130 years, this building has quietly supported larger industries and significant local businesses. It was home to Bonnet, Page & Stone, the Laconia Daily Sun, and it stood firm to facilitate their growth and then eventual transitions. While its connections to the car shops and other businesses enhance the importance of our building, it really is the artifacts, photographs, and documents housed within it today that make 65 Water Street one of the most historically significant sites in Laconia. The LHMS Collections Committee and team, a group of 15 and growing at this point, volunteered over 500 hours in '24 and made incredible advances in our work to organize and sort the archives. We've had the opportunity to put our eyes and hands on the collections of E.J. Gallagher, Bob St. Louis, and Esther Peters. And some here today will likely recognize those names, but for those who may not know who those people are and how important they are to the story of Laconia, I'd like to share a little bit about each one of them. By the age of 20, E.J. Gallagher owned the New Hampshire Patriot. That's the name of it. Warren will tell you it's Patriot, a Concord newspaper. Some years later, he established the Laconia Evening Citizen, and in time became a bank president, two-term mayor, an author, and all-around civic leader. Bob St. Louis was a local photographer known for capturing various wide range of subjects and images throughout the Lakes region in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. From school portraits to little leagues to weddings to corporate events. If you lived in the area at his time, you were likely photographed by him. So you can imagine the incredible images that we have in the building from him. Esther Peters was distinguished broadcast journalist whose career spanned over 50 years in local media, both radio, television, and print. Throughout her professional career, she had the unique opportunity to engage with and interview some of the most prominent individuals in politics and entertainment, locally, regionally, and nationally. And she was deeply committed to the Lakes Region community. She actively contributed her time, expertise, to several organizations dedicated to history, conservation, children's initiatives, and various other causes. Her legacy is significant, and we are privileged to care for her personal artifacts, business, correspondence, photographs, and memorabilia. So these collections that I just explained to you are a fraction. We have thousands, I would dare to say maybe 10,000 pieces of photographs of Bob St. Louis, and that's just him, not to mention the others we've mentioned and others we haven't. Our community actively supported various events and initiatives throughout 2024, so we're pleased to report that we had a 50% increase in membership. We invited and actually had over 100 people discover new information about Laconia last year, just in 2 events that we had. Our History Happened Here event, which will happen again this May, and our Railway Day in August. Our family history services saw an increase, significant surge in interest last year. Our dedicated research team of Lynn Brody and Virginia Hansen completed 30 reports from August to December. House history will look at your home, they'll pull the deeds, they'll pull all the owners, we'll give you a full report. Some of those reports were over 100 pages long. So we really do a deep dive into those. And so that also helps us learn more about the families and the homes in our city. This year is shaping up to be exceptional for our programming as we proudly celebrate Laconia's Irish heritage. We kicked off our program year with a highly successful beer tasting in March, and throughout the year we'll share fascinating nuggets of Irish information in each event that we hold. An exhibit at the Laconia Library later this year will feature artifacts and stories and visuals that highlight the impact of our Irish heritage here in the city. And we'll wrap up the year with the New England Irish Harp Orchestra in December. And while we're always excited to share our achievements and successes, it's equally important for us to address the challenges we encounter as a nonprofit. One essential element that significantly supports our operational programming expenses is the current available commercial space in our building. The rental income directly contributes to our ability to maintain essential functions, keep the lights on. So if you know anyone looking for prime downtown real estate to hold their business in, we'd love to speak with them.
Can you give us a couple of details? What's the square footage and anything like that you can
Yes,
share?
so
Or when you have it, can you send it along?
Oh, I certainly will send it along. It's about 21 square feet, first floor currently. There might be something going on with the second floor, but first floor.
2,100 square feet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it might be a little bigger depending on, we do have a tenant in a smaller space that's connected to this space, so it could actually be a little bigger than that.
Terrific. Yeah.
Depending. Last year around this time, we initiated the Legacy of Laconia Heritage Preservation Campaign, beginning with the first phase, Protect the Collections, which focused on securing a new roof for the building. And the community responded with significant support. We are very close to meeting our goal. I mean, like literally this close. So we're very optimistic that we will successfully install the new roof and the new gutters by November of this year. However, this is the first phase, and so another phase is coming along. further efforts are required. Following our celebration of the new roof later this year, we will promptly transition into the next phase, which involves brick repointing for much, if not all, of the building. So following kind of the idea of a compliment sandwich approach, we began with some great news. We added in a little bit of our challenges, and now we're excited to share the best news yet. We are the Laconia Historical and Museum Society, and we are thrilled to announce the return of a museum.
Hey.
After a lengthy absence, we are unveiling our new space in June, which will allow us to share the story of Laconia with an even larger part of our community and more frequently. So at 65 Water Street on the first floor, on the smaller side, there's actually two sides, a little larger, which I spoke to you about just a moment ago. The smaller side will house a small museum space. And so we hope to see all of you at the museum.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
very
Sarah.
much.
That was really wonderful. I think think of the Laconia Museum Society, it's easy to think of Warren Hughes, but right there along with him is you.
Well, and we've got Pam and Ray.
Oh, I didn't see Pam back there.
Well,
Hello, Pam.
There's probably about 20 of us and growing now, so
Thank you for all of your hard work, all of you, and your dedication. It makes a difference in this community.
well, thank you. Thank you for listening. Have a great night.
Terrific. Moving on to agenda item number 14B, the city manager fiscal year 26 budget presentation. With that, I'd like to welcome city manager Kirk Biotti. Keep it tight, just like Tara Shore did,
6
okay?
minutes.
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Where's our copy? Those come afterwards. I learned my lesson. All right. Good evening. Thank you for having me here to present this tonight. I'm excited to be here. Usually I do this at the end, but I wanted to just start off with a couple of thank yous. One to Glenn Smith and the finance department for all the work they do. Glenn provides me with a book very early on in this process, and I provide him with 10,000 changes and adjustments, and he always with a smile comes back with the adjustments made. So thank you to you and your team, Glenn. I also want to thank Superintendent Champlin and his team over at the school. You know, this doesn't happen if we don't work together to come up with this expenditure plan. So his team's always great to work with, and so I really appreciate everything that they've done as well. And then I just want to thank all my department heads and the staff for what they do. Again, this is a team effort to get us here tonight. One person or two people aren't doing this, and our department heads worked really hard on this as well. You're going to hear this a couple times from me tonight, but what you have in front of you is a tax cap compliant budget. That's important to say, and it's nice to be able to bring that forward to you. But what you're also going to hear from me tonight is this is a 30,000-foot view of what we're looking for an expenditure plan. Over the next 2.5 months, there's a lot of work that goes on. All of our department heads will be in front of you to explain their budgets, explain what they were looking for, what we were able to fund for them, how it affects the department, and what they need to do to grow and to move forward. We also know that over 2.5 months, a lot can change in maybe revenue or expenditures or things that you're looking for. So we look forward in my office and with our department heads to be able to work with you over the next couple of months to make sure that what you vote on in June or July, most likely in July, where this is a state fiscal year budget, most likely in July, is something that we can all be proud of and you think really moves the city forward. So that's what we're trying to do here tonight. How did we get here? I think it's important to just mention that how this budget is actually produced. Like I said, in July, you'll be voting on this budget. And in September, the department heads are going to start to receive their information to start planning next year's budget. So this is a year-round process. There's really 7-8 months that go into this. They start with the capital in September, October, and by November, they're receiving their worksheets from the finance department to build out their next fiscal year budget. They take those into January, February, March, when it's the work between the department heads, myself, finance department, the school. All this work goes on to build out what you have in front of you today. And we don't know all the final numbers as far as our tax cap numbers until the end of March. So, you know, it's a short, compressed time frame to really know what we're able to put together for you. But it's an 8-month process. So when I mentioned in the earlier slide about thanking the department heads, you know, they're really working on this almost year round. So they do a great job with that. And I thought it was important to point out how long this really takes. This is not something we put together in 2 weeks and bring it forward to you. The version that I'm presenting to you tonight is probably version 6 or 7, and that doesn't include little changes along the way. I won't read through all these, but this is what your expenditure plan will have for you. It's all of the expenditures, the revenues, enterprise funds, special revenue accounts, everything that we do, that we make up is in this budget, whether it's spent for out of direct taxpayer money, grants, federal funding, state funding, anything is all included in here, and it'll all be part of what you were presented later on tonight. As I said, I think this is an important slide. This proposed expenditure plan is tax cap compliant, but based on the Laconia City Charter. City manager and the superintendent of schools are required to bring that forward to you as a compliant budget for you to work through, and that's what we have done for you tonight. Tax cap is made up of 2 areas. It's the increase of what we're allowed to raise by taxes is increased by 2 different numbers. Number 1 is your consumer price index, which last year was 2.96%, giving us $1.75 million of new money we can spend. And the other half is the net value of new building construction, which came in at just under $48 million, giving us another $667,000 worth of spending in new tax money. That net number, the number I report out to you each month, if you'll remember, was higher by about $16 million higher. That's a net number. So we do remove, there's certain things that we remove to give us that net new building construction, and that's that number that you'll see in front of you tonight. So the total allowable increase by taxes is $2.4 million, giving us a total to be raised by taxes of $61,540,000, an increase of 4.09%. If you look at how this breaks down, the net city increase, $660,000, net school, $988,000. So 2.8% increase on the city, 3.8% increase on the school, to be raised by taxes. That's net for the school, net for the city. There's so many other numbers that factor into that aren't to be raised by tax money, especially on the school side. They'll explain all those when they come in. This is our net amount to be raised by taxes. The Belknap County number, just under $500,000, and I'm going to explain that number in just a second. I'm going to go back to it. And then the statewide education property tax, which is the money that we're required to put in. We get back to use, but it's the money that we have to put in for the education funding. That went up 5.4%. There's your total numbers down bottom that I've already explained. Belknap County, that number there, that increase is based on what you approved last year to be raised by taxes. The number we're given early in the spring is an estimate. They try to do the best estimate that they can, but that number last year we did 3.9 million. It was actually 200,000 higher, which we can't go back and look for new money, so we had to take it out of our operating fund to make that happen. That all changes when DRA does their reevaluation numbers, October-ish. So that number changes, usually up a little bit, but could go up or down depending on the time frame. But that's what you approved last year. That's what I have to go with as we increase by raise by taxes. Everything in the budget is really an estimate. We know that. I think we do a really good job at estimating based on trends. The other piece that we estimate is your tax rate implication. If you look at, this is what we're estimating out this year. And again, these numbers are not final until DRA does their valuation numbers. So these are estimates. But I think we've done a nice job of being not overvaluating on our conservative part. DRA does their own numbers. I don't want to get into everything that they do because I won't be able to. But this is what we're estimating the city per thousand. So 2 cent decrease on the city side, 12-cent decrease on the local school, swept up 2 cents, county up 3 cents, for a total decrease of 9 cents on the tax rate. Again, these are estimates. We do not know these numbers yet. Looking at the 5-year allocation, we kind of see where these are trending. They will start to trend down generally as valuation goes up. Unless we're overspending by a crazy amount of money, as valuation goes up, the tax rate generally goes down. So you'll see, I won't read through all of them, but you'll note that for the most part, each of these go down each year. There's a couple little fluctuations in the middle, the 22-23 year, but for the most part, they go down. And on the bottom, you'll note where we are this year as well. So you'll see that for the city side and the school side, they have gone down. The ones that we have control over. We don't have control of the county. We don't have control over the statewide education property tax. We do have control. Superintendent Champlin and I have control over the school side and the city side, and I think you see that we continue to try to have that come down. One thing that I will note, I meant to mention on one of the previous slides, the 4.09% is the total, including everything. Going back to that, what we can control, that city and local school and city side, was a 3.3% increase on what we have physical control over taking care of. Continuation of funded priorities. I put this slide up every year, but I think it's important. The first one we talk about the supporting recruitment and retention of employees, and not forgetting either side of that. We talk a lot about recruitment, how to get people in the door, but I think we've taken a positive effort over the last few years to make sure that we're retaining them as well. That's just as important. Public safety, some infrastructure upgrades, public education, care of the city parks and fields, IT, and I don't remember if I put this one in last year, but I definitely put it in this year, the funding for positive city promotions. We're trying to do good things. We're trying to, we'll talk about it later, but Pumpkin Fest is a great example, right? It's stuff that we're trying to do. In my individual department presentation, which you'll hear from me when I do with the administration, is when I break down a little bit more stuff that we do for, we support some nonprofits and large events, that type of stuff. You'll get all that from me when I do my administration presentation. New for FY26, we did put some more money into city relief. I report out on that every month. We know that is a tough spot for us, so we did have to put some more money into that this year. Glenn will report out on that when he does his budget presentations. We had new contracts for 5 of our unions this year, so that's a big deal. It's something we had to deal with, and I think we put everybody into a good position for that without overexpending our budget. And then we got Pumpkin Festival. The only piece I'll talk about that special accounts is in this. There's still that $10,000, but we know what we're most likely going to put together is a special revenue account. You spend $1, you make $1, and it nets out to zero. So that will most likely be added to this budget some point over the next couple of months, but it won't change any of our dollar figures that we're doing because we know it's going to be what we make is what we spend account. So it shouldn't affect our budget at all. Every year when the department heads do their budgets, one of the things that they ask for is, what should we do about new employees? Do we ask for it or not? That's the question I get. My answer to them is always, let's ask. I think it's important for them to point out what the growth that they're looking for in their departments to see the city grow. So this year we had quite a number of them. We kind of go down through them. Crime analyst for the PD, a special administrative assistant for their body-worn cameras, IT network administrator in finance. When I go out and do a lot of these, seminars and stuff for managers, the one thing that gets talked about more than anything is is IT. So we're really trying to grow that. There's a lot in this year's budget to grow our systems, which is nice, and we'll continue to grow administration as we move on. Community paramedic. Planning was looking at a project manager, a land use planner, office clerk, as well as a deputy of operations for DPW and a scale operator, part-time solid waste. So a lot of positions were being looked for. Certainly to stay within our tax cap, we're not hitting all these positions, and we know we can't. In staying included in this expenditure plan right now is a crime handler that at half year, so 6 months, we'll be able to start them in January. In the capital, which is again something I'm going to present more on when I do my budget, the administration side of the budget, is the real-time crime center. To be able to make that work, we need a position in that. So these really go tie hand in hand. Project manager, half year. When I say half year, it's half year this year. It would roll in full-time next year. In the planning department, so many projects going on right now. Our planning department and our code department, they're great to get out there as much as they can. But to be able to have a contact person direct, a liaison between the developers and City Hall, I think is really valuable. So we're trying to keep that in as long as we can this year as well. The community paramedic is a new position that we've added, but it's not funded with general fund money. So although you see it in here, it's not money that we're spending on that right now. Capital improvement, we have $1.8 million in the general fund for capital improvement, $1.4 million of new money. Last year was just over $2 million in new money this year, so you'll see the decrease. Why the difference between those two numbers? It's because we have some one-time funds that we're using for some one-time projects. The $600,000 in internal service fund, which funds our new police cruisers and a couple new vehicles over at DPW. And something different this year, we've had increase. We know we've had increase in our impact fees, so we've identified some requests within our expenditure plan that'll go directly out of impact fees. Also included in the capital, I'll break this down a lot more when we get to, like I said, when I do the actual capital improvement plan, but something that has come up many, many times is there is funding in there for master plan update. We know this is going to be a big project. It's something we're going to have to go outside to get our help on, but this is included in this year's capital improvement plan. Roads are down a little bit than what we normally spend. They're funded at $1 million. There's a lot of moves that have to be to make this budget work. This is one area that we went into. Something that I think is worth talking about when the Public Works Director gives his presentation, when I give mine on the capital improvement, I think it's worth having some further discussions about if we want to look at future bonds on road projects and what exactly that means. Whether it's to the full extent of what they were looking for before, whether we can do year by year, whatever that looks like, I think it's something that's worth having a conversation on. When the Finance Committee, subcommittee of this council met a couple of weeks ago, or last week, this came up and we had that same conversation that is certainly going to be good for a full council to have. We continue to talk about a new DPW building. There's no construction money planned in this year's right now. But they are finishing up their pre-work on having plans drawn up, which we've funded over the last couple of years. So we know exactly what we need to, be looking for size of property and what type of building we're looking for. Revenues, I don't go deep into this. All I will say is that we did increase our fund balance use a little bit this year. Normally the last couple of years, I shouldn't say normally, it's come down over the years. It's been well over $1 million in the past. We've had it down to just under $700,000 in the last couple of years. We did increase it to about $300,000 this year to make this work. Historically, even when we're using a little bit more out of it, we've been able to stay right around $3.5 million in our fund balance for a long number of years. If you look at our the audit, you'll see one year that's a spike. That was an anomaly, just the time that they took the snapshot, if you will, when a bunch of grants had come in for the school. Overall, our general fund revenue increased by 1.75 million. At this point, we're normally talking about what is the state doing. On the city side, I'll say this. At this point, what we're seeing coming out of the state, which certainly could change at any moment, is not going to be major changes to the city side of the budget. We all know things can change. There are a couple of bills that we're watching closely, but when we see them, they're not ones that I think we're going to make a significant difference this year. How they play out over the next couple of years, we don't know yet. On the school side, I don't want to get into there too much, but they did see a pretty significant decrease in their funding this year. On the state side, they're still waiting on the federal side, but I'm sure Superintendent Champlin and his team will explain that a little bit more. So they're seeing a bigger hit than we are as of right now, but we are continuing to watch that. We assume that there'll be a budget passed prior to you guys having to pass yours, and we'll know all the intricate details of what we need to do. But we'll get to there shortly. For our expenses, I don't talk much about in this slide. I'll say our bonded debt on the principal and increased about $1.5 million. And each department will present their own expenditure plan and give you an opportunity to ask questions and break those down as we move along, including mine on the administration side and Glenn through his finance side. Here's a big one. Our wage and compensation, benefits, and health insurance. Our wage and compensation plan is in a position that we're very pleased with where we stand. You've seen the increases in the union contracts this year. In the next couple of weeks, you'll get the wage and compensation plan, so the non-union employees, which mirrors the union numbers. All pleased with where they stand. Publicly, I'll say this. It's been something we've been working on for a few weeks now. We get notified late in the fall, November-ish, of our not to exceed rate for our health insurance. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were notified that our not to exceed rate was going to be more than double what was expected. That does not happen. It never happens. They're guaranteed rates. About a week after that, we were told that the company that we worked through, the risk pool company, was not solvent and they were not going to be handling this anymore, and we're out the door. And it's not just us. There are dozens and dozens of communities that are in the same boat as we are. So what do? You go into a little bit of crisis management mode and you try to figure this out. We have worked on trying to find another risk pool manager. Risk pool, you think of it as group buying. If you buy in bigger group, you get better rates. We've worked with another, so we worked on trying to go out and get our own numbers. If we were just to contract directly through a broker with a health insurance company, that number came back a lot higher than we were expecting. We did work with with another risk pool company, one that's very successful. School uses them. And their numbers came back in 2 different ways. Their numbers came back for using the exact same insurance that we have currently, and the increase was going to be that significant amount. The second half was if we were to switch plans to go to a different plan, we could decrease the budget by about $200,000. What you have presented for you tonight has that lower number in it. Now, that doesn't mean we're able to switch right now. We've just gone through union negotiations. And this all came up after that happened. We're really late in the game. We should have been making these changes with all of our employees back in the fall to say, hey, this is what we're switching. Let's work through this. We're trying to do this at the last minute. So my answer to you right now is we're not sure exactly the direction we're going, but that we are working on it. And if we do stay with the current plan we have, we know where we'll be able to make the adjustments to continue to keep this as a tax cap compliant budget. This was a big deal that really threw a lot of municipalities into a tailspin, and it's understandable. but I will give credit to my staff for jumping right on this and saying, how do we fix this? How do we make this go forward today? So you're going to hear a lot more out of me on this as we move on. I will keep everybody updated as we move through our budget process. There's still a lot of moving parts on this, but again, I'm really pleased at how hard staff was able to work on this. Over the next, tonight, you guys will receive your preliminary expenditure plan, pumpkin orange, by the way. And they'll also be available in the city clerk's office, the library, and they'll be online as of tomorrow. Before I end, I just want to say thank you to all of you. You know, I talked about the department heads and everybody that puts into this. The same goes with you. You know, I take notes on every time we're at a meeting or we talk to try to figure out what's important to go into this that means something to all of you. And I appreciate your trust in us to put this expenditure plan together and to be able to present it to you. And I look forward to working with you over the next couple of months to make sure that we have a budget that, you know, that you're comfortable voting on and moving forward for the city. So, unless there's any questions, that's all I have for you tonight.
Thanks, Kirk. Appreciate it. I don't know if there are any questions you want to save them for later. I mean, I think the juicy stuff is in the budget book that we'll get tonight, and we can do some work on that.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 15, Mayor's Report. I'm going to pass on the Mayor's Report at this point. Look towards the council comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was advised very recently, and I'm passing on it, he probably already knows, it's my understanding our fireboat engine failed.
Yeah, I've been made aware. I've asked the chief to update me on what he can do with pricing and all that, and we can once we know the numbers, we'll have a plan in place of what we can do.
I hope you'll keep us apprised.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Some of us were made aware, maybe many of us were made aware of the Water's Edge water bill and the difficulty of how expensive it got. And are you familiar with the motel that's, or the?
It's a campground, it's a seasonal campground that I sent it to.
Yes, I've been made aware. We're working through the numbers with the water department, and just trying to confirm that they're being billed correctly. So we're working on it.
It sounded to me, and others, you ought to take a look. It sounded to me a little bit out of the round, and I'm hoping you can explain it to us.
Yeah, we will update you with that.
I, with the mayor and Councilor Hoffman, we attended a meeting earlier, and last week? Yeah, last week. And we were given information about how many permits have been issued and whatever have you. I was wondering if you could have the planning department put together a list of units by type and costs, you know.
Yes, what we'll do is, I know he's sitting out there, so I'm sure he'll hear this. We'll add that to our, we'll make sure that's part of his budget presentation.
That would help.
Because that, I've seen that same document. It's a good document.
Yep.
So we'll,
But if we could just expand it
Yep.
to explain, you know, if some of those are rentals, what range they're in, that sort of thing, I think it would help us.
I see him writing things down.
Yep. Yeah, he's writing a hate letter to me, I'm sure. And with that, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for entertaining me.
Sure. Counselor Susie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kirk, one question I have is maybe a report or something from Economic Development, please?
Yep.
Just like to understand what's been going on and
Yep.
if there's anything that we need to get help with, okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Can do that.
All right. How about committee reports or liaison reports?
as the city manager brought out earlier, we had a finance committee meeting last week, and we preliminary discussed the budget and some things like a road bond and other aspects that we would like to bring up. And one of the things I wanted to bring up now, and I know we'll get deeper into it as we move along, is that we've been able to determine by the numbers that the county is becoming more and more dependent upon the city with revenue.
You think?
And it's heading north quite rapidly. At the same time, as this is, and it's another report I'll be coming out with, because I've done some work on it, we have all the untaxable properties within the city, okay, that service a lot of people. And we're now, with the county depending upon us more and more, our taxpayers in the city of Laconia are being asked to support all the other towns around the city, if you look at it through that glass, okay? All the other towns within the county are being supported by our local taxpayers because the county seats us here, our tax percentages to the county budget's there. And lastly, we will add less representation from the city since the last reorganization of the legislative body from the city of Laconia. So it's like more responsibility, more funding, less representation. And I just want to bring that up because as we go through this budget process, I'll be bringing that up further. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Liaison reports? Seeing none. Move on to number 19, citizens request to comment on current agenda items. If there's a citizen here who would like to speak to a current agenda item, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing none, we go to the city manager's report.
You weren't tired of hearing me talk. Okay, let's see.
We're obligated to ask you to speak.
So you have your two documents that you always have this time of the month here. The projects update is the first one. A lot going on. I just hit a few highlights though. South Main Street, Vista Food, Cottage Street area. I think we've all noticed the road down there that is going to be worked on and fixed within the next 30 days. Tower Street, Endicott to Warner area is being paved. Sidewalk up on Hilliard Road. There's a sidewalk on both sides of the road. Neither one of them is in great shape, and neither one of them really go too far. So they're going to remove the side that's really not used, put the money and work into the good side, and have a good, safe sidewalk for the people that are up in that area. You'll note on there some other paving stuff. Old North Main Street, which has to include drainage system, Clearwater, Morningside. There's a few streets over in that area that are being paved. I won't read through all of them, but they're all included in here. We have Public Works Director here if you have any questions on those. The Weirs Boulevard is still planning on a fall 2026 construction. That's going to be, and the reason it's worth mentioning, and I mean, we probably won't mention it every month, but it'll be in here. That's going to be a big road that has to be diverted
Which
around.
one was that again? I'm sorry.
Weirs Boulevard. So, but they're doing work up on White Oaks Road, so at least the detour won't make that road bad. Downtown TIF has been doing their work that you had approved to go out and get some landscaping and projects downtown, so they're getting those numbers in. Weirs Dock reconfiguration, if you haven't had a chance to get up there and see, it's looking great. They're doing a wonderful job, and it's still on track to for the end of May to be done. So looking great up there. I've been really impressed with the work they've been doing. I've had a chance to get up there a couple times and check it out, and I've been very pleased. The only other thing I'll note is on the state school update, they have been in front of TRC. I think some of you may have been there. There was a lot of people here, a lot of interest in it. They're still in their due diligence phase, and they've been working very closely with the planning department, my office. We still have a couple things that will actually come in front of you guys to see, probably in the next couple meetings, I would say at the most, from them. So an MOU just between the city and the developer, but they're trying to hammer out all the specific details with the technical review committee first, and so really good. Very pleased with working with that group. The second document I have for you is your monthly economic development report. We're seeing unemployment rates stay pretty high. A little bit over the Belknap County rate, but not as high as state New Hampshire's, but still in the mid-3 range. And on the second page is your CPI number. Again, we talked about that tonight, how important that number is. Is annualized out at 2.7%. So unless you have any questions for me, I know I skimmed through quite a bit of stuff on those projects update. When you're reading through those, and I know I move quickly, if there's any one specific area that you want to see at a meeting, you say, hey, just give me a heads up when you read it ahead of time and say, can we expand on one thing or another? And I usually have Public Works Director with me, but I can certainly have the department head that goes to it if I don't have the answers for you, so.
I appreciate that offer. The one thing that caught my eye is the O-Pee-Chee Loop and where we stand on that. There's a few things that are gonna start to happen now, it seems to me, and you don't have to do it tonight.
Well, no, we are working, there's some northern borders issues that we're having trouble with now, and the number, so, yes, we can put something together next time to talk about that.
Next few months,
Yeah,
next
we'll
few
do
weeks
that.
would be great.
Yep,
Thank you.
glad to.
All right. There are no questions. Let's move on to agenda item number 21, which is new business. And agenda item number 21A, which is a request to appoint Marjorie Wilkinson as supervisor of the checklist for Ward 3. David Stamps recently resigned from his position as supervisor of the checklist for Ward 3, having moved out of the ward, I believe. Marjorie Wilkinson has expressed interest in being appointed the remainder of Mr. Stamps' term, which expires December 31st, 2025. According to Chapter C, Article 2, Section 2:01, all vacancies occurring in the board shall be filled by the city council. So right now, I'd be looking for a motion to move to appoint Marjorie Wilkinson to serve as Ward 3 supervisor of the checklist to fill the remainder of a term expiring December 31st, 2025. So made by Counselor Hoffman, seconded by Counselor Felch. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Agenda item number 21B, which is a request to appoint Seth Wingate to the Colonial Theater Advisory Board. The Colonial Theater Advisory Board was created in 2023, is provided for in the management agreement between the City of Laconia and Spectacle Management. As outlined in the agreement, quote, "The board shall be appointed by the City Council to serve as liaison and sounding board with Spectacle Management, a conduit to the City Council and City Manager, and an evaluator of ideas and recommendations concerning the facility to the City Manager," unquote. Former City Manager Scott Myers was appointed to the board when it was created. Mr. Myers has since moved out of the area, and the mayor, is requesting that Seth Wingate be appointed to fill this vacant position. Right now, I'd be looking for a motion to move to approve the appointment of Seth Wingate as a member of the Colonial Theater Advisory Board, so made by Counselor Felch, seconded by Counselor Haynes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Agenda item number 21C, Laconia Historical Museum Society, request to waive Parks and Recreation facility fee. The Laconia Historical and Museum Society will be holding an event at the Weirs Community Park Amphitheater on May 31st, 2025, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., at which the New Horizons Band will be performing. This event received approval from the Parks and Recreation Commission at their January 21st, 2025 meeting, at which time a $150 facility fee was assessed. The Laconia Historical and Museum Society is requesting that the council consider waiving this fee. Parks and Recreation fees have not been historically waived by the council due to the significant strain put on both Parks and Recreation employees and wear and tear on the facilities themselves. If the council wishes to approve the request to waive this fee, a motion is provided below. The motion would be, looking for a motion to move to waive the $150 Parks and Recreation facility fee in relation to the Laconia Historical and Museum Society's event at the Weirs Community Park Amphitheater to be held on May 31st, 2025. So made by Counselor Felch, seconded by Counselor Haynes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'm sorry, Counselor Felch.
I just want to say that actually at the last Parks and Rec Commission meeting, the was brought before the commission by myself, and they did vote to waive those fees.
Thank you very much, Counselor Felch. Ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney,
Yes?
Counselor Susie,
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman.
Yes.
Counselor Haynes.
Yes.
Counselor Bogart,
Yes.
Counselor Felch.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Agenda item number 21D is going to be a request that it be tabled because it's, if I'm not mistaken, this is contradictory to what the Laconia Airport Authority intended to do with this property. So, this motion may be on the table for quite some time.
It's fine. It was what, yeah, as you know, it was what was presented to us at the time, but we knew it changed after we already presented, put together the packet, so.
Right, I'm happy to discuss it further, or we just table it. Table it for a while.
Move to
So,
table.
Counselor Cheney, second by Counselor Felch. I'd ask the clerk to call the roll. Thank you.
Counselor Cheney,
Yes.
Counselor Susie,
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman,
Yes.
Counselor Haynes,
Yes.
Counselor Bogart,
Yes.
Counselor Felch.
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Agenda item number 21E, request to approve a collective bargaining agreement with Laconia Administrative and Technical Employees, Chapter 69, State Employees Association of New Hampshire, Local 1984. The City Council met in a non-public meeting earlier this evening to review the collective bargaining agreement with the Laconia Administrative and Technical Employees, Chapter 69, State Employees Association of New Hampshire, Local 1984. The first-year increase of the contract is $175,547.17, which includes a winter maintenance stipend. City manager recommends the approval of the collective bargaining agreement. Right now, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Laconia Administrative and Technical Employees, Chapter 69, State Employees Association of New Hampshire, Local 1984, SCA, for the period of July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. So made by Counselor Felch, seconded by Counselor Hoffman. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Counselor Cheney,
Yes?
Counselor Susie,
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman,
Yes.
Counselor Haynes,
Yes.
Counselor Bogart,
Yes.
Counselor Felch.
Yes.
Passes with 6 votes to 0. Under unfinished business, agenda item number 22A, ordinance 2025-235-15, official zoning map amendment. Kirk, could you give us a walkthrough on this?
Yeah, well, there,
There are a couple of them here, right?
no, there's just, there's a couple of motions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is up on Blueberry Lane, to be able to, they're looking at, was it 35, Blueberry Lane, the old Bean Conference Center, they're looking at building out as an apartment. The zone actually is right in its backyard, it needs to move up just a few hundred feet, basically, to put, an apartment complex on that property and be zoned correctly. It's gone through the planning department, they've approved it through public hearing, then approval. You've now had your public hearing on this, so planning department's just looking to move the zoning line, so this property fits.
Counselor Susie?
Yes. I'm looking at the map. I see it's moving with lot, it's mark number 15, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Right. Can I ask, what are the abutters thinking about this?
We have we have not heard any feedback from any of the abutters for this.
Okay.
Have we requested input?
We did. We had a public hearing at the planning board, and nobody came out.
So was the landowner of record notified of this?
Yes, the landowner of record was notified. Yes.
And one last question, Mr.
Sure.
On, I believe it's lot number 2, which is where the tree is and the pearly pond. Is that gonna be protected and made sure nothing, hurts that, you might say, whatever you wanna call it, but I wanna make sure we don't build something there and all of a sudden the tree dies.
No. So we have actually already had conversation with the new property owner, and what their proposal is to make sure that we are safeguarding Pearly Pond and that whole area. And they're very cognizant of that. So they're building on the opposite side of the lot, so nothing they should be doing should be even on that side or even down that far for the most part.
I just wanna make sure, even if we have to get an arborist to go in there and make sure we're okay and they pay for that funding, okay? It's, you know, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're not making a request that some money be put in escrow by the developer in case we do need to hire an arborist?
I think that's a good idea, and I would request that. I look at that tree in that lot to be pretty important to the city. I wanna make sure it's all okay.
So that could be something that we handle when we go to the planning board. That can be usually we do a staff report, and those staff reports, we have proposed conditions on them. So we can add that to our staff report when they go to planning board, so the planning board can add that condition onto them, so that.
Okay, I'm gonna ask our representative to the planning board to make sure that he brings that up.
That's clear that we'll do that, and can you also send confirmation to both Counselor Susi and Counselor Cheney that it has been included in the staff report?
I absolutely can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, so in this matter, there'll be a series of 3 motions. The first one is to move to waive a reading of ordinance 2025-235-15 in its entirety, to read by title only. So made by Counselor Cheney, seconded by Counselor Haynes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Next on this matter, looking for a motion to move a second reading of ordinance 2025-235-15, amending chapter 235 zoning, article 3, districts zoning map, sections 235-15 official zoning map, and attachment 1 table of zoning map amendments. So made by Counselor Hoffman, seconded by Counselor Susi. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Finally, on this matter, looking for a motion to approve ordinance 235-15, amending chapter 235 zoning, article 3, districts zoning map, sections 235-15, official zoning map, and attachment 1, table of zoning map amendments as presented. So made by Counselor Hoffman, seconded by Counselor Cheney. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Next, moving on to agenda item number 22B, resolution 2025-11.
Mr. Mayor, if I could interrupt you on this,
May.
can we table this until next meeting?
Motion to table is made by Counselor Susi, seconded by Counselor Haynes. Is there any further, there's no discussion. Ask the clerk to call the roll.
On the parking kiosk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor
Six.
Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Finally, no, not finally, but 22C. Resolution 2025-14, acceptance of donation and installation of a flagpole from the Bank of New Hampshire. The Bank of New Hampshire has generously offered to donate, install, and maintain a new flagpole and replace the one currently located on the island in Veteran Square. The bank has received the attached quote for the purchase and installation of the flagpole. At the April 14th, 2025 City Council meeting, a motion was approved to schedule a public hearing in this matter. That public hearing is held earlier this evening. There was no public input. So right now, I'll be looking for a series of 3 motions. The first is to move or waive a reading of Resolution 2025-14 in its entirety. Read by title only, so made by Counselor Haynes, seconded by Counselor Cheney. Is there any further discussion? The clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Next on this matter, looking for a motion to move a second reading of Resolution 2025-14, acceptance and donation, installation, and maintenance of a flagpole from the Bank of New Hampshire. So made by Counselor Susie, seconded by Counselor Hoffman. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Finally, on this matter, I'm looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2025-14, acceptance of a donation, installation, maintenance of a flagpole from the Bank of New Hampshire as presented, and authorize the city manager to sign all documents related to this matter. So made by Counselor Susie, seconded by Counselor Felch. Is there any further discussion?
Yes. Did we ever find out if this includes lighting for the flag?
I did not find out about the lighting, but we'll make sure it does.
Okay,
We can do that.
thank you.
It should.
Yeah, well,
So
that's,
we'll make sure it does.
okay.
Required by
Tony, I
law.
think the other thing that, excuse me, Mr. Manley,
Sure, sure.
the other thing that came up, I just wanna make sure of that too, the maintenance of the square. where
They
put-
take
they're-
care of that.
They're gonna take care of
Yep.
that, okay.
They already do.
There's no further discussion. I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Thank you very much to our friends at the Bank of New Hampshire. They are a tremendous neighbor to have in our community.
Yep.
Agenda item number 22D, proposed changes to the City Council Rules of Procedure. At the March 10th, 2025 City Council meeting, Councilor Cheney raised concerns with the language contained in the City Council Rules of Procedure at a Government Operation and Ordinance Committee. A motion was approved to make the changes as recommended by the city manager and to bring the fourth to a full council. At the April 14th, 2025 City Council meeting, a motion was approved to table this agenda item. So this agenda item is still tabled. Do you intend to have it stay there?
No, I'm ready. I'm waiting. I'm ready to talk about it if you guys
Has
are.
everyone here had an opportunity to read this? Do you need more time?
I move to take it off the table, Mr.
Seconded by
Second.
Counselor Felch.
Oh.
All those, please call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that is now off the table. Right now, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the revised city rules of procedure as presented. So made by Counselor Felch, seconded by Counselor Haynes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor
Hold on,
Susie?
he jumped in. Was that a yes to a vote or yes to comments?
Couldn't tell you.
I just had a question
Go right ahead.
about, I was trying to look through it. It was dealing with the businesses and, the definition of what businesses are. Are those for-profit business, or does a nonprofit also included as a business?
Can you refer to the
Or
page?
the ad hoc committees?
Can you refer to the page?
15.
It's actually a decent question.
Is dealing with ad hoc committees.
So the way we did, if Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Sure.
The way I looked at this, so we didn't have a good definition for citizen as far as what the ad hoc committees look like. So what I did is I borrowed, I won't say I stole, I borrowed it from our TIF definition.
Yes.
It still requires a majority of the people on an ad hoc committee to be residents of the city of Laconia. But it allows non-residents to sit on the committee the same way we do TIF. Oftentimes, when we look at the TIF, we may have a business owner who certainly has a vested interest in being part of our TIF district, and we allow that, as long as the majority are residents of the city. I did the same thing for this. You know, if we were to try to do something, a big project downtown, say, and we wanted to put a special committee together, certainly you would want our citizens to have, you know, the majority of the say. But our downtown business owners should also probably be at the table. And that's why I thought just using the TIF language was perfect. Councilor Bogart, I will say he did ask me about this. It's nothing I did any real work on. I thought it'd be worth having conversation at this table. We don't identify nonprofit versus profit for the TIF districts. But if that's something you guys want to talk about, that's the direction he was looking at here.
My question was related to that based on the fact that a lot of the work we do downtown has a direct effect on the for-profit businesses and has little effect on the non-profit type businesses as they support a larger community area where our businesses that are downtown are directly related to it. So that's why I was asking, they have more of a, the for-profit business has a foot in the game, as one might say. And that's why I was questioning that definition of business.
What difference,
what it
are you suggesting because there is a commercial enterprise for-profit has some sort of different standing compared to a nonprofit entity that maybe owns property, rents property, but conducts business in the city?
Yes, that's what I'm questioning is, are they one and the same in the definition?
Should they not be?
I-
You
I
not, do you,
don't know what's-
would you
no,
prefer to
what's
have
in-
nonprofits not sit on any committees? Is that what you're asking? Is that the goal?
Well, the nonprofits are also, what leads to it is, we also contribute to the nonprofits through our city budget. And so now I have to question when you have nonprofits who are taking city money, sitting on, committees that are gonna have an adverse effect, possibility on our taxes and stuff, or what direction we take. So, yes, I do have to question that. Now, if the will of the council wants to say that's fine with me. I'm just questioning the fact that, they have two different directions, when they're doing this. One, like I said, we're funding one, and the,
Give me an example. Which one, hold on, which ones are we funding?
do we not help fund,
No, I'm asking you, which ones do we fund that might raise this concern?
do we not have?
My question is to you, which one do we fund that might be of concern?
Let me speak, sir.
No, just answer the question. I just want to understand. Hold on, Counselor Bogart, hold on one second. I'm not sure I completely understand what you're trying to do here. If there is a particular nonprofit that we are funding here in the city that you're concerned about, which one might that be so we can get some clarity on the issue?
Sir, I'm not concerned with funding or non-funding. The question was, do businesses that we contribute to, should they be available to work on our ad hoc committees? Now, advisories to them and something, I'm not questioning. But it seems like if we're funding something, would they, unlike staff or building departments, the city manager's office and stuff like that, have the ability to speak for the city. But a for-profit business, commercial enterprise.
So help me, again, stop that. I understand the for-profit enterprise. Which entity are we funding that it concerns you if they were to speak on behalf of the entity would create an issue for you?
None of them create the issue. I'm questioning whether.
And hold on, why are you raising the issue then? If they're not creating an issue, what are we talking about?
They are two different types of business.
There's no doubt about it, but it seems to me you're implying that if we are funding a nonprofit, and again, we haven't identified a nonprofit we're funding, or to sit on a committee, apparently there would be issue with that. I would suggest.
I just asked for a definition. That's all I asked. I didn't want to go into a full-fledged debate over.
Well, wait, I'm just trying to get an answer to the question I keep posing to you.
The question is the definition for a commercial business and for a nonprofit. Is that both included in business? That's all I asked. And if the answer is yes, then we can move on.
I suggest we can probably move on otherwise, unless someone wants to answer that question directly, if it's relevant. Counselor Hoffman.
I would think, depending on the nature of the ad hoc committee, that we would want the flexibility to be able to include nonprofit organizations if it was relevant to the committee in question. I don't think we would want to exclude ourselves from being able to invite a nonprofit into the conversation, especially if it was a matter that they directly affected them?
I would think everybody that sits at this council receives some sort of benefit of living in the city. Yet we still vote on matters that are brought before this council. If there's a conflict of interest, I would suspect that those sitting at the table would abide by professional discretion and good ethics and would recuse themselves.
So then the answer is yes, we're saying that the definition of a business in Laconia covers both commercial and nonprofit.
I think we're kind of talking in circles and making something out of nothing here, but okay, here we are.
I wasn't
So,
making nothing out of anything.
well, no, you were making something out of nothing. That was my point. I think you mixed that up too. But let's move on. Where are we here? Right now, do we have a motion on the table?
Yes.
We do. All right. Is there any further discussion? Is there any further relevant discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
That's 6 votes in the affirmative. That motion passes. Moving on to agenda item number 22E. Request to extend plantation and Colonial Roads emergency lanes designation and exception to the city ordinance on continuing to collect solid waste at the curb. Would you like to address?
Yeah, well, we have them as an emergency lane, including picking up their garbage, until we finish up with the pending lawsuit. We're looking for an extension on this, and either until a certain date, which is included in there, or if the resolution of the suit happens. So that way they don't lose. Hopefully we don't need to plow anymore this year. But some basic maintenance on the road and garbage pickup.
So moved.
So moved by Counselor Seuss. Wait a minute. We got like 4
You gotta say
motions
that
on
3
this one.
times.
I would like to say yes.
I was gonna say,
Actually, 4 times.
4 times.
All right, we're gonna do this 4 times. Okay, we have a series of 4 motions. The first is a motion to move to waive a reading of Resolution 2025-16 in its entirety, read by title only, so made by Counselor Cheney, second by Counselor Haynes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative. That motion passes. Next, looking for a motion to move a first reading of 2025-16 establishing Plantation Road and Colonial Road as emergency lanes under RSA 23159A with the expiration date of October 31st, 2025, or a date of the Belknap Superior Court's decision in case number 211-2024-CV-00054, Joy Sabato et al. V. City of Laconia, whichever is first. So made by Counselor Felch, seconded by Counselor Cheney. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, and that motion passes. Right now, I'm looking for a motion to move to schedule a public hearing on May 12, 2025, establishing Plantation and Colonial Roads as emergency lanes under RSA 231:59, small a, with an expiration date of October 31st, 2025, or the date of the Belknap Superior Court's decision in the case number 211-224-2024, CV 00054, Joy Sabato et al. Versus City of Laconia, whichever is first. So made by Counselor Felch, second by Counselor Haynes. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. So next here, if the city council desires to approve the exception to the city's solid waste ordinances, the following motion is provided. Right now, if you did want to do that, the motion would look like this: a motion to move that the city council approves an exception to city ordinance 194-4-B and allow the city's solid waste collection contractor to collect solid waste at the curb on Plantation and Colonial Roads during the period the 2 roads are an emergency lane. So made by Counselor Felch, seconded by Counselor Hoffman. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Cheney?
Yes.
Counselor Susie?
Yes.
Counselor Hoffman?
Yes.
Counselor Haynes?
Yes.
Counselor Bogart?
Yes.
Counselor Felch?
Yes.
6 votes in the affirmative, that motion passes. Kirk, I had a question. Jane's and the other one off of White Oaks Road,
Yeah.
Did we table that a couple weeks ago?
We did, they'll be coming up at the next,
It is.
meeting.
So it's still on the table, it's just not listed here.
Correct.
It's coming up, okay.
Yeah, yep.
I just didn't wanna lose
Yep.
track of that.
No, we didn't.
All right, is there any business we're carrying on after this?
No.
No. So I'd like to adjourn the city council meeting of April 28th, 2025 at 8:25 PM.